I know what it feels like to have a bad day and feel like nothing works, but if you've watched this video, that shows that there is some part of you that wants to get out of this. Hello, welcome. In this video, we're gonna go through 10 practical ways to help yourself if you're having a bad day. The impulse can be, when you're having a bad day, to be like, oh, I'm just gonna be kind to myself today. That's quite abstract, so I wanna give you 10 things that you can do, practical tips that you can do to help you feel better. These are things that help me. Hopefully you'll be able to apply them to your life as well. If we're thinking about what a bad day means, to me it can mean either just like having an off day where things aren't going right for whatever reason, you feel irritable, like you can't focus on anything, or a bad day can be part of a series of bad days where things just seem to get worse. The first tip to help yourself if you're having a bad day is to have on your phone or written down somewhere, just keep a list of things that make you laugh. Whether it's a TV show, a film, podcasts. Crucially, these need to be things that you're not going to ruin for yourself by watching over and over again. I am someone who will repeatedly watch the same thing over and over, kind of like having a comfort TV show on the background, whether it's New Girl or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Arrested Development. I can watch them when I'm having a bad day and they will cheer me up, but I've watched them so many times that I know everything that happens, so nothing is unexpected anymore. Although I will say quickly about Arrested Development, that show I've probably seen like 15 times, I'm not exaggerating, and even so, the other day I was watching it and there was a joke that I hadn't got. There's so many layers to that show, I love it, and it's like a proper situational comedy. You need to have a list of things that you will not watch all the time so you don't ruin them for yourself. So for example, on my list I have The Office because I only watch that when I'm feeling sad, and that way it's not something that I just am watching on the go, whereas the US Office, particularly the fire episode and the first aid episode, I've watched them too many times. You need something that's going to surprise you, something that you have watched that you know is funny and you know will make you laugh, but not something that you're watching all the time. And this is also why I think podcasts are good, because they could be so long that you're not going to remember all of it even if you've listened to it a few times. So I'm thinking of podcasts like You Made It Weird or Comedy Bang Bang. They are so long that even if you've heard it a few times, it's still going to make you laugh. If you're having a bad day, think of something that you've not watched for a while and revisit it, whether it's like Ted, which I've now talked about, like TV shows, but films as well this applies to. But also you can prepare now a list for the next time you're feeling sad. I will give you my recommendations. Talked about Comedy Bang Bang. Another show is The News Quiz. Have I Got News for You? These are all like topical things. Old Mock the Week episodes, I think they're on Netflix. Taskmaster is just really silly and makes me laugh. The In-Betweeners and Oh Hello on Broadway. Those things I keep on my list of things to watch, but not to overwatch so I don't ruin them. The next thing to help yourself if you're having a bad day is call someone who doesn't know that you're struggling. So either you might be having a bad week, like we said, and this person you're calling doesn't know, or this just might be an off day and you call this person. The point of calling someone who doesn't know how bad you're feeling, and this clearly depends how bad it is, if you're feeling very, very bad, please get some help. There are people who want to help you and it is possible to recover. But if you're just having an off day, call someone who does not know that you're having a bad day. This is because you will then just be able to have a friendly conversation. Maybe you will be forcing it and being like, hi, how are you doing? Oh, that's interesting. And inside you're like, oh, I just feel so terrible. I'm having a bad day here. Hopefully, just the act of having a normal conversation where you're not dwelling on whatever is causing you to overthink or to just be really stressed or to have a bad day, by not focusing on that and just having a conversation, finding out what's going on in this person's life. How are they dealing with the week? What's going on with them? It will get you out of yourself, out of your own head. And it's just a really helpful way. This is something I do quite a lot and it's surprisingly helpful. It's also, I think, a kind of acting the way you want to feel, because it's not that you're putting it on and being like, hey, how are you? I'm okay, blah, blah, blah. I did do a video about acting the way you want to feel and I'll leave it up there for you if you want to check out. The next thing to do if you're having a bad day, another practical tip, set a 20-minute timer on your phone. Do something in that 20 minutes that you have been putting off or procrastinating. And for the first 2 minutes, it's gonna be difficult. You're gonna hate it. You're gonna think of all of the reasons to stop doing this thing now and walk away. All of a sudden, as soon as you sit down, you're like, right, I'm gonna send off this email or I'm gonna finish this piece of work. As soon as you sit down to do it and you've got your timer going, there will be all sorts of things that will come into your head like, oh, I should be doing that. I need to go do that. Oh, I forgot to dry up. I forgot to do this. I need to cook something for later. I need to water the plants. All of these things, at least for me, this is what I found. All of these things come into my head. But if I can get past that 2 or 3 minutes at the beginning where everything is coming into my head and I just keep going with the task that I've set myself 20 minutes to do, eventually I can get it done. This is a great thing to do on a bad day because I find that sometimes I can be putting something off and that can be causing me a bit of, not anxiety, but I can have like uncertainty about it, that feeling of procrastinating something and it's sort of hanging over you. So then you get that feeling of relief or a little bit of pride when after the 20 minutes you're like, oh, I sent that email and it wasn't so bad. But I also think it's another way to get you out of your head if you're having a bad day. So like some ideas for this I've written down. So email, we talked about, send off an email that you've been putting off, do some online admin, sort through your laundry, put books back on the shelves, clean your bathroom, that can take 20 minutes, right? Chop up some vegetables or do some food prep, do a workout, that is particularly something that I can procrastinate, but these things can all be done in 20 minutes and you will feel a real sense of achievement and accomplishment after having done them. The next tip that you can take care of yourself on a bad day is to put your phone on Do Not Disturb. I know I talked about calling a friend. After that, put your phone on Do Not Disturb and take some time out to read. Again, if you want to set a 20-minute timer and have this be your little space, watch some random videos on YouTube. Just like go onto your homepage and be like, okay, what are you presenting me with today? And be like, yeah, okay, I'll watch that one for 20 minutes. The next way is to eat something. I know when you're feeling bad, or particularly if we speak from my experience, and hopefully you can relate, when I'm feeling bad, I can feel like I can't be bothered to make anything or I can't be bothered to cook anything. And normally I love cooking or I love just preparing a nice meal, even if it only takes a few minutes. But if I'm feeling bad, I can just be like, I can't be bothered. Particularly if, depending on how I'm feeling, if I'm feeling a lot of anxiety or uncertainty, I can also then lose my appetite a bit, so then I don't want to eat. Not eating will make your bad day so much worse. I don't know about anyone else, but I find if we're talking about a bad day where say I'm feeling anxious and I don't have so much appetite, I'm not going to feel hungry, but I am going to get quite emotional. And I'm not gonna know why until I eat something, and then I will be like that cloud of like darkness that was descending, like I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I haven't done anything today, I'm pathetic, all of these thoughts. As soon as I then eat something, I'll be like, oh, I just needed to eat something. Like those thoughts were just being exacerbated by the fact that I'd not eaten anything. Please do make sure you eat something, even if you're not feeling up to it or feeling like you even need to, because not eating is going to make a bad day even worse. I did talk a little bit about hunger and feeling hungry in my HALT video about how to make better decisions and how not to let yourself get hungry, so I'll link that video up here if you want to check that out. The next way that you can make a bad day a little better and take care of yourself is to tidy your space. Might be another obvious one, but again, this is something that is quite insidious for me and can just kind of build up in terms of I do like having a tidy space. If I'm busy or if there's a lot going on, I can just end up leaving some books on the floor, leaving some clothes on the floor, not putting things away properly, and it just gradually builds until all of a sudden I look around and I'm like, this place is a tip. Gretchen Rubin talks a bit about it in her book Outer Order, Inner Calm. The idea is that if you have an orderly space around you, it can help focus your mind more instead of looking around and there's all of this visual noise, all of these distractions that you're seeing. So tidying your room, even if it's just something as simple as making your bed, that can help boost your mood a little bit. Be like, oh, I accomplished something today and it only took like a minute to do. The next thing that you can do on a bad day, the next practical tip, is to have a shower. Another obvious one, but I sometimes can struggle, particularly if I'm feeling bad, with executive functioning. So having a shower suddenly becomes like this great ordeal, but I know it does help me feel better. There's also some kind of spiritual element to it. I don't know, there's some kind of maybe symbolic element if you're having a bad day, just to have like a hot shower and you feel like you're washing away the day. Also then maybe putting on like some clean pajamas or some clean clothes. This also is about getting out of your head and reconnecting with your body instead of just being caught up in all of the emotions or all of the uncertainty, the thoughts about the future, the why did I act like this. It can all get very overwhelming. So something like having a shower can draw you into the present moment because you're focusing on your physical body as opposed to all of the stuff that's going on in your head. The next thing is to decide or assess whether having a cry will help the situation. In this situation of having a bad day, sometimes it can be very helpful to let yourself cry. Crying is very cathartic. It's releasing any emotion that you're feeling instead of bottling it up or suppressing it, which is really damaging in the long term, and it will just come up in different ways. So it's really good to cry and give yourself space to do that. The caveat is, and I'm sure you will have had experience of this, there are some moods that you can be in when you're having a bad day where crying is not going to help, or it might start off being helpful and then you somehow cross a line and the crying is just sort of feeding itself and you're just then feeling rubbish and crying because you're feeling rubbish. It's just going round in a circle and it's no longer a healthy thing. Assess whether it is a good idea for you to just let yourself cry, and if it is, then yeah, go for it. The next one is one that I'm always so hesitant to do on a day where I'm feeling bad. For some reason, it's the one that I never feel like doing. It is to meditate or pray or do some deep breathing. Deep breathing exercises are so helpful to bring you into the present moment, like we were talking about with the shower, but it's also just good to help regulate your nervous system. I did a video about the 3 breathing exercises that I like to lessen anxiety, to help me get better sleep, because sleep used to be a massive problem for me. It's gonna be difficult to do on a bad day, I know, because you're just like, I don't care, like it's not gonna work, I can't be bothered. But it is really helpful. If you wanted to dedicate more time to it, you could maybe get your yoga mat out or sit on the floor with some cushions or with a blanket, light some candles, maybe do some journaling, put on some guided meditation. Like sometimes I'll just say to myself, I need to get out my stupid yoga mat, light some stupid candles, say some stupid verses, and do my stupid guided meditation. And I'm like doing this all in a really grumpy frame of mind, which is not the best thing to do, but it does pretty much always help. While we said the other ones can help reconnect you to your body, this one is engaging with all of the noise that's going on. If you're praying, meditating, taking deep breaths, you are not challenging all of the stuff going on in your head, but you're sort of like, okay, I see this, you're like countering it, all of this noise, with some spiritual prayer or guided meditation, mindfulness exercises, whatever works for you. Another thing that I think is really helpful if you're having a bad day is to go outside, whether you want to go for a walk or just sit in your garden or just sit on your back doorstep. Open the window if you really don't want to leave your house and just breathe the fresh air, do your deep breathing exercises maybe next to a window. Going outside for me, it always feels like a reset. I go for a walk every morning and I try and go for a few walks during the day. Every time I'm like, oh, this is just, it's so nice, it feels so peaceful. And particularly at this time of year now, all of the trees are really this vibrant green, and there's just so much to notice. And anytime I'm outside and I'm looking around and I'm taking my deep breaths, I'm like, oh, this is so lovely. Go and look at the trees, go and find some pretty flowers, go and sit on a fallen tree and phone a friend. All of these things, you can mix and match them. Like I just said, phone a friend, sit outside. There is this one space where there are a few fallen trees and I would just sit there and call a friend or just pace, look at all of the trees. Fresh air helps. I know what it feels like to have a bad day and feel like nothing works, but if you've watched this video, that shows that there is some part of you that wants to get out of this. And I hope I've given you some ideas for things to do, some prompts. I ran out of space, so my outro got deleted. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to see more from me, please subscribe. I will leave on the screen now my video, Practical Mental Health Tips, just back to basics mental health advice, because that will give you some more tips if you're having a bad day. God bless, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.